On this lesson, we're going to be creating the doodles of our elephant. So just as we did on the previous one, let's just go and find a reference image like this elephant, and let's just drag it into our Photoshop document. Let's just scale this a little bit down, and let's remove the visibility of our bare layer and create a new layer, and let's name it elephant. So now I can bring in the visibility of my elephant, and again, it's really important that you identify the shapes. So here I'm going to zoom in a little bit and find that I have an ellipse here on the head, and then I have this trunk, which you can see that it could be a rectangle, and also here on the ear this is another ellipse. So you can see that really with 3 shapes, actually 4 if we make a little eye, we have the face of an elephant. So for the body, you can see that elephants are massive, so you can have kind of a rectangle for this part of the body. And as I said, this is all about abstraction. You don't have to think that, okay, the elephant has a back because you can see the curvature there on the top. But for now it's fine, because what we want is really to make very simple doodles. If you were to do a more precise elephant, then maybe instead of doing a rectangle for your body, maybe you did 2 circles and try to join them so you get that little curvature on the top. So you can see my elephant here. Of course, this looks like as if a kid were drawing this, but you can see how if I begin deleting some of these lines, I start to see my elephant. And again, remember that because we're doing these drawings for kids, it's very important that you make them with a proportion that it's cute. So really the body has to be very small in contrast with the head, because that's really what is going to make this look more as if this was a baby elephant. So now you can see that I have this trunk kind of too big, so I can maybe make it smaller, because you don't want it to, even if you want to have that contrast between the head and the body, you have to make sure that you don't make this look like something that doesn't make sense at all. So here you can see that I am incorporating these little legs that are simple rectangles, and also because of the pose of my reference photo, this elephant looks as if he was walking. So again, this is a very simple doodle, but now let's transform it into a cute one. So let's remember that we had an ellipse as our head, little ellipses as our eyes, then we had the trunk, so this one is going to be a little bit different. But you can see that the trunk of an elephant can be facing down or top, it really depends on you. But also something that you have to have in mind is that these animals are supposed to be happy. So elephants, when they are happy, they have the trunks pointing to the top. So let's try to do that. So I'm just going to make this shape. It may look like a more complex shape, but in reality, this is as if this was a rectangle, but I just bend it and round the corners so you don't see those sharp edges there. And now on the top, I can add these little 2 ellipses to make it look like this. And now if you have ever seen elephants have some lines on the trunk, so I can add those. And one of the reasons why I like to sketch digitally sometimes is because I get this flexibility of being erasing in and using my lasso tool to make copies of my shapes if I find one that I like. And again, remember, these are simple ellipses. I just don't draw them complete, because I already know that I only need a part. So instead of doing the whole ellipse and then erasing it, I just try to do the shapes. So here for the body, you can see that I could really make all this about some rectangles with a big rectangle with little ones for legs. So let's do that. This is just a rectangle that I am kind of extended with the bottom rectangles that are going to be the legs. And I'm going to have another leg on the back. It's very important that you always have all the legs there. Like if you can't see one leg, place it there, because otherwise it's going to look as if this elephant only has 3 legs. Now I'm adding these little curvatures to make it look as the toes. And you could have a curvature here, but just slightly. And then finally our tail. So you can see we have it here. So let's do it again. And again, it's going to be pointing to the top to make this elephant look super happy. And I'm going to put just a little circle there. You can see that in reality it's more of like a rectangle, but it's also very important that you are playful with your shapes and that you maybe add a tail that has a heart shape. So in reality, elephants are not going to have a heart shape tail, but maybe your character has one, so that's okay. Now if we were to do a variation, you can see that here we have our trunk, we have our eyes, and he could be having the trunk in a complete different position. But for now, let's just stick with the one pointing down. Again, I'm using the same technique with the rectangle, and I'm finishing it with these small curvatures. And here I'm pointing my ellipses. And you can see the previous one had some lines in there, so I can add them as well here. And maybe not all of elephants have to be on 4 legs. Maybe you could do this elephant as we did with the rabbit, on 2 legs. So you would have the body, which in this case would be a little bit more rounded, and your same 4 rectangles as legs. And here you can see that I make the tail as a square. So in the next lesson, we're going to keep doodling with then our next 3 animals. So see you there.